thugs over in France are mentioning me in the Candace Owens lawsuit. What did I do? What, is it my fault your wife has a dong? Who cares? What does Patrick Bet-David, what did he say to Anthony Weiner? He's like, you're trying to get girls to show you your ding-a-ling. So what? Brigitte Macron, she maybe allegedly has a ding-a-ling. So what? I mentioned in the lawsuit, on April 26, Owens appeared on the Tim Dillon show. And then they do my whole, he's a comedian, podcaster, actor. They have a better bio for me in the Candace Owens lawsuit than my agent does, by the way. The bio in the Candace Owens lawsuit is actually better than anything CAA has done for me. Tim Dillon started the show by telling Owens he was asked about the series while checking into a hotel and said it has blown up. Owens replied, oh, everywhere. I mean, it's the most international thing I've ever done. So the Macrons are suing Candace, and her appearance on my show is in the lawsuit. I mean, it's just a moment of pride. If you've been a fan of this show for a while, and a lot of you have, I meet people all the time that have been, listening since 2016 or the beginning. A lot of people are new, but to think about this, to be named in a lawsuit is a mark of pride. The president of France's wife is suing Candace Owens, who said she was a man, and I'm mentioned in that lawsuit. And that's actually, because you start this business, you don't know where it's going to go. I didn't know where it was going to go when I started it. And that's what I'll tell people out there that are young and are walking down an uncertain path to this moment in their life where they realize it's all actually been worth it. There's a lot of people that are going, am I on the right path? Are the sacrifices worth it? And the answer is yes, because I'm sitting before you today named in a lawsuit. The president of France's wife may or may not have a cock. We're all going to court to figure this out. We're going to court to figure out whether the president of France's wife has a cock. We don't know. We don't know. No one knows. And I mentioned in that lawsuit because I helped further the conversation. And that, to me, is something special. Is it a big movie? Who can't? No. But what? No. Who's doing that? What we're doing is advancing an important conversation on this earth. Does the president of France's wife have a cock or not? That's what people are thinking about as their kids are laying in a hospital bed. They're not thinking about how much the bills cost. They're going, does she have a cock, and what's it like? I mean, I'm just saying it's a proud moment as an American. Dillon discussed MK Ultra and similar programs. By the way, this is in a lawsuit. It's truly amazing. Like I read through it. I read the pages where I was mentioned. And it is amazing that this, just take a minute, just zoom out for a minute, okay? Because, by the way, and even though I was being facetious about movies, Weapons is amazing and Naked Gun is great. I saw Naked Gun and that's great. So I am not as black-pilled on movies as I was. I do believe, and I'm working on stuff, and other people I know are working on stuff, very talented people. I think there's more to this than just, hey, there's people on the internet all the time, which is great. But there's also the ability to execute and do things well on other platforms. And I'm not giving up on movies. I don't think anyone should. I don't think anyone should, contrary to what I may have said last week. I'm not always right. But when we look at how big podcasting has gotten, weirdly, I don't know why this one did it for me, the election and the dumb interviews on CNN, none of it mattered. My friends are in arenas and stuff. That didn't matter. It was this lawsuit. I just thought it was very funny. I just started laughing. I said, isn't that funny that the president of France and his wife are mentioning my show in a court case about whether his wife has a cock. And that, to me, is making it. That's what it is. That's what it feels like, and it feels good. I'm in this thing. I'm in this thing, and we're riding till the wheels come off here. I'm in deep now in this thing of whether or not this man's wife has a cock. They brought me into it. They brought me into it. You start a podcast because you think you're going to have a travelogue on Comedy Central. That's what I thought. I was going to get paid to travel around the world and eat things and then make jokes about them on television, because that's what every comedian wanted. Between the years of 2010, I'll give you a little comedy history that no one cares about. Between the era of 2010 and 2015, most comedians were pursuing a travelogue. Everybody had been living in hellish apartments in Brooklyn or in Los Angeles, and everybody, their dream was to travel around the country, because Dave Attell had one called Insomniac. And Bourdain, who wasn't a comedian, obviously had the most famous one called Parts Unknown. And we were like, what about a funny travel food leisure show? What about that? And everybody went and to their agent manager and said, hey, man, I really want to just travel, and I want to do a travelogue because I like food and I like places. No one had a rationale for why they want. They were like, I like going places. I like traveling. And we were all trying to get travelogues. So I started a podcast as a hey, my travelogue was on a tour bus, because I was a tour bus guide at the time, making $15 an hour for a big bus, getting a lot of complaints. And then I was like, but this is going to be a travelogue where the bus is going to go to different places. I'm going to be on top of it doing my analysis. And it's going to be great. And I'm going to make like $100,000. That was my dream. I was like, I'll make $100,000. Now I am mentioned in a lawsuit. The president of France mentioned me in a lawsuit about whether his wife has a cock. Do you see what can happen out there if you just focus and trust the process? Really, trust the process, because I thought I would be doing really artistic stuff. But you have to trust it. The world will find a place for you. Many people doubt this. The world is going to find it. You don't choose it, by the way. Everything's they walk around choosing everything. It's this illusion of our society that you walk around choosing things because you choose, like me and my friend just got coffee and you get to choose the little thing. You sweetener? No. You get to choose that, but you don't get to choose necessarily how the world sees you or where you fit into the world. You might walk around going, I'm Kevin Costner. But guess what? You're not. Number one, you're not. Number two, he just lost a lot of money on that dumb movie, whatever it was called, Horizon. Okay? And number three, he'd love to be in this lawsuit. He'd love it. Kevin Costner would love to be in this lawsuit about whether the president of France's wife has a cock or a pussy or something in between or nothing, like a doll. We don't know. I got in this going, I'll have a show, because I was like, I liked Curb Your Enthusiasm. I go, how funny. Isn't that funny? But you got to trust the process. You end up where you belong, and this is such an interesting moment here. It's such an interesting moment to be in a cultural conversation that matters this much to people. And I know that people are going to not.
Tim Dillon being mentioned in Candace Owens' lawsuit, the one that was filed by the president of France's wife. Now, as someone who knows all about lawsuits, I was sued by Brendan Schaub. I defeated him mighty handedly and footedly. You really do feel like you make it once you hit the lawsuits. But as far as Tim goes, I'm wondering if he's thinking, is he going to have to get deposed or be brought in as a witness? Or was he just being referenced in, like, the complaint being like, Candace knows this guy, or this guy has talked about this, and they brought up the MK Ultra thing so they could be like, this guy talks about many other conspiracies, and that this is in fact a conspiracy, the whole president of France's wife, what's his name, Macron, really being a man. And they were arguing that that's a conspiracy, and Candace Owens is pushing a conspiracy, and all of her friends are conspiracy theorists and everything. It really is an odd lawsuit. I haven't checked out fully all the Candace Owens things about the president of France's wife being really a man, mainly because who cares? I'm not from France, so I really couldn't care less. She did one about Michelle Obama. I'd check that out in a second, though. But what do I care if the president of France's wife is a man? Interesting story, though, and I know when usually Candace does like an in-depth thing on something and doubles and triples down on something like that, she usually has her ducks in a row. Like the whole Harvey Weinstein thing. I remember she was saying, like, Harvey Weinstein's not a good dude or anything, but they're going to throw out his thing and he's going to end up getting out of jail. And everyone, I remember at the time going, oh, Candace is crazy. She's trying to say Harvey Weinstein is innocent. She was like, no, he's not innocent. But looking at the evidence, they might let him out. And then lo and behold, she was right. And they throw out a bunch of stuff and he might be getting out of jail. So I don't know. But I thought that was pretty funny by Tim. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.